watched a few psychological thrillers in my time. There's this one, I don't know, convention, plot twist. I've seen it more than once, whatever it is, and it's been pulled off well every time I've seen it. The villain's a truly twisted monster. She trapped a hero in her torture chamber and forced him to suffer unspeakable agonies for several days. Suddenly, a team of rescuers burst in. They free the hero from the rack he's tied to, maybe kill a few of the evil guards when they're right outside, help the hero into the cart. They drive off. The hero takes the time to catch his breath. The cart stops. The rescuers lead the hero out. He looks up and sees the torture room. Very same torture room. His rescuers have driven him in a complete circle, bringing him right back where they started. It was all in their horrific game, filling up hope just to crush it. And in the center of the room is the villain, ready to pick up where she'd left off, delighting in the hero's despair. Only problem? The villain isn't supposed to be the one in shock. Somewhere in my mind, a rubber band stretched well past its limit finally snaps. Would somebody please tell me what the hell any of you were thinking, bringing him here? I told you, you should have let me disguise myself as Marilyn Monroe, sighed Discord. Rainbow, please calm down, Bright Eyes begged. He's reformed now, rehabilitated. You think I don't know that already? I shrieked. You think any of us don't know that already? I was there through all of it! A hysterical giggle wiggled out through my tears. Then why can't you find it in your heart to forgive him? Asked Clover. I haven't even forgiven myself yet! I take a few shaky hoof steps backward, wings spread wide. I can't do this. I need to be alone. Before anyone can tell me not to, I teleport away. I wound up settling down on an asteroid somewhere in the Eagle Nebula. I'd brought the essentials with me. A few boxes of food, blankets for my fake house, a deck of playing cards, several crates of hard cider. One of the biodomes Eclipse scavenged from the aliens we'd bought as Discord's pets. To my surprise, the white angel with a halo helped me gather my stuff. Sometimes we need time to be alone before we can heal. Just please don't forget to let your friends in when you're ready. Didn't put up much of an effort to stop me, though the pudgy yellow one made sure to grab my name before I left. Nightmare Manacle. She quickly scribbled on a clipboard. Rainbow Danger Dash, you exist. Rainbow Dash, you are alive. I flicked my tail at them and sped off. Here in the present, I look over my 43rd game of solitaire and take a swig of cider just as I heard the hoofsteps behind me. Howdy there. Figures. Howdy yourself. Couldn't have been easy to find me way out here, but I hadn't really gone out of my way to hide. Mind if I sit down, Rainbow Dash? I didn't look at her. I thought I'd told you that wasn't my name anymore. And I told you to stop calling me Applejack, yet here we are. She took a seat next to me. We're still those ponies at heart anyway, might as well own up to it. There was a pause before I sighed and grabbed her a cider bottle from the crate. I'll be honest, I was hoping Twilight would be the first to find me here. She took it gratefully and started twisting the cap off. I asked if Thestra was better. She ain't been around. What about the surviving Rarity? I asked. Heard anything about her? She snorted. Corn and Starlight, she plumb came the Alicorn of the mortal world. She couldn't come visit us even if she wanted to. Go figure. We tried so hard to make her a nightmare like the rest of us, that the moment we turn our backs, she becomes a goddess. That's Rarity for you. All the places you could have fled to, she mused, looking up past the biodome's UV shield. At least you picked one with a gorgeous view. The asteroid we're on was orbiting an unnamed, undiscovered gas giant, the only one in the system, illuminated by the red light of its dwarf star. Oranges and yellows swirl across the surface in a way that reminds me of a special little filly. Maybe I should name it after her. So, I gotta ask, whatever happened was Nightmare's being toxic waste you were gonna drag to some lonely, far-off place where we can't hurt no pony? She tilted her head towards the gas giant. That it over there? I shrugged. I was over that by now. Mostly. You know, you could have just told them angel ponies you weren't interested. Ah, there it was. Instead of, I don't know, wigging out and vanishing into the middle of nowhere with no warning or way to contact you. I kept my gaze on the planet, raising my bottle to my lips but not drinking. When I first saw him, I was terrified. I was scared this was all just some crazy long dream he gave me to torture me. And when I woke up, I'd be Trader Dash again, ready to do Master Discord's bidding. But then, I sighed. Then I saw myself leering over him, yanking him back into a torture chamber while we watched Nightmare Eclipse force a smile on his face. And I feared I'd wake up as Nightmare Manacle, ready for another million years of death and destruction by my own hooves. I don't know if I'll ever be fully convinced this isn't all a dream. I can help you with that, Mirror offers, bending her horn briefly. I edge away. Don't, I growl. Like hell I'm letting any pony fuck with my head ever again. Crystal clear, she shrugs. Though I should point out I was the one that took that dinks out of your head way back when. Wait, actually? My memory of my nightmarification was foggy, but I remembered the pain of having my soul split in two. Razaru had given me my element of chaos back, but I hadn't had time to wonder about Eclipse's chain spear. When the hell did you have time for that? When we were being washed away by the magic rainbow of doom. Figured whatever happened to us, you'd want to be yourself. And it's not like Eclipse was paying enough attention to stop me. How'd you even pull it out while astral projecting? We were just there as spirits. And so was the Change Trigger Cube. Otherwise, it couldn't have affected you while we were rejecting. Anyway, I had someone back at the stable help pull out the physical one, when it became clear what was happening. I'm just glad she got out okay. Who? I Pinky promised myself never to tell. Sorry. She looked back at me with the same stubbornness she's always known. I swear I saw Pinky in the reflection of her eye somehow, glaring and mouthing forever. Well, thank you then. And thank your friend for me next time you see them. Will do, Sugar Cube. He sat in silence for a few moments. I went back to staring at my cards, realized I was out of moves, and groaned. Why him? I asked suddenly. Why the hell couldn't the concepts have gotten any pony else? Strife, Pandora, hell, even that new girl, Rancor. You can't tell me they're all suddenly too busy for something like this. To be fair, we did leave them just a bit of a mess to untangle. I held an agreement and let silence sit between us once more. And this stupid idea comes to me. And with a wry, miserable grin, I speak in the overly cheerful tone of those game announcers Discord so often imitated. Here is a sanity-shattering, reality-defying, loophole-exploiting god of chaos, the tyrant to end all tyrants, turned loving father and altruistic, wish-granting atoner who's been trapped in a time loop of torture by a gallery of psychopaths. She's a fearless, bad-flanked, totally awesomely radical element of harmony turned element of chaos turned nightmare, who's heartlessly killed billions of galaxies and who carries enough guilt to fill the depths of purgatory. We've given them a pocket of reality and assigned them with the creation of a new universe. Can they possibly find it within themselves to let bygones be bygones? Tune in to find out. Applejack didn't laugh. I wasn't expecting her to. Even Pinky wouldn't have found that funny. I'd let the grin drop on my face. It's just, they knew our past, Applejack, and they knew his. Did they seriously think we'd take this well? And I can't help but wonder if they did see this coming. If this was all part of some scheme. There's no way they could have seriously thought I'd just forgive him like this was all some petty preschool bullying. Did they plan for me to freak out? To escape to this damn asteroid? And for you to follow? Or were we ever free at all? I laughed brokenly. Frankly, I'm just surprised he didn't react the same way. First he tortured us, then Applejack huffed out a breath. To be fair, we don't know how long we've been stuck here. Discord had enough time to heal, maybe they thought we would too. Usually interrupting Nightmare Mirror in the middle of a rebuttal is a lost cause, but this time I chanced it. Look me in the eye and tell me that yes, Applejack, time does heal all wounds, every single last one. That there aren't any psychological scars Discord left on you that'll never stop aching. The silence that followed was colder than the space outside my dome. No, admitted Applejack at last, eyes pained. 'Cause I don't know the future. But that ain't what I said. And dang it, Rainbow, you weren't the only one hurting. We were all shocked, we were all scared, and you just exploding on us and running off didn't help none. Did you ever for 1 second stop to think about how the rest of us felt? I cringed a bit at that. What I meant was maybe they thought, not knew, enough time had passed we would be ready to start healing. There is a difference, you know. She took a swig from her cider bottle. Hey, remember what happened to you in the final loop? The one that helped kick our flanks in the end? Remember what happened to her right after Twilight healed her? She was chained to a bed and put on suicide watch. Yep, but in the end, she managed to get her head on straight enough to confront what she'd done and help her friends. Time didn't heal all her wounds, not even close, but it helped her enough that she could start to help herself. I know we deserve to be punished, but how can they force this on us? They offered you the position, darling. You don't have to accept it if you don't want to. And I imagine Discord was given the same offer, even knowing we'd be there. Maybe this is his way of trying to bury the hatchet. But why the hell would they even consider it? Putting me and Discord on a team together is like putting a lion and a hyena in the same cage. Applejack shot me a glare. Would you stop it with the me and Discord crap? You aren't the only pony here, Rainbow. You ain't the only one who fucked up. You think Eclipse gave any of us a choice before turning us too insane to say no? We all hurt ponies. We all hurt Discord. Stop acting like you're the only one who needs redeeming. Sorry more geared for doing than thinking. Then do something instead of just sitting here moping. I know you don't want to hear it, but if Discord can give us a chance after everything, don't you think we owe it to him to do the same? That's the problem, I shouted. It's not that I'm afraid of him, I'm afraid of myself. I don't know if he changed my loop or not, but he did eventually and we just kept torturing him. I'm afraid that the part of me that helped Eclipse all that time is still in me somewhere. And if I'm with him alone, it'll find its way back to the surface. Maybe Eclipse left some sort of failsafe in me, or 1,000 other reasons why this is a fucking terrible idea. I'd be lying if I said I don't feel the same way. Those who fight monsters might take care, lest they thereby become a monster. We failed at that pretty badly, didn't we? Tell me something I don't know. But if Discord can change Rainbow? Applejack stood up and faced me, holding a hoof out encouragingly. Come with me. I'll take you to Discord and you can talk to him. Just a regular conversation over a plate of apple pie. No tricks, no weirdness, just an honest conversation. It's time you faced your fears, Rainbow. A sarcastic laugh bubbles up. Face my fears? I shook my head. What the hell do you think I've been doing all this time? Every loop I had to dredge up the courage to confront Discord, in battle or otherwise, and then it turns out he's just been a puppet pulled along by Eclipse's flaming chains. There's no fucking point to any of it. I don't know if there will ever be a point. Now, Applejack insisted. It matters here and now. I pretended I didn't hear her. When will I ever earn the right to look away from my fears? To be free to avoid company I don't want? Don't I have the freedom to choose who I don't want to hang out with? Or will I be forced to marry and divorce him before I'm finally allowed to burn that bridge in peace? Before I can finally forgive myself for all the shit I put him through under the pretense of justice? Even if I did change, would it really matter? So, Applejack said, you're saying the reason why I can't forgive yourself is because you kept getting screwed over at the end of every loop? More or less. The bear intensified, and in an instant her hoof lashed out to strike me. Don't you dare say anything so selfish ever again! Selfish? You weren't the one facing your fears all those times. You never were. Those were other Rainbow Dashers who were broken and tortured and found the courage to fight anyway. Us, we spent those loops watching them from our living room. You have no right to claim those other Rainbow Dashers' misery and courage as your own. Not when you helped slaughter each and every one of them. She bowed her head in shame. I'm sorry for hurting you, Rainbow, but I'm not letting you start thinking like Nightmare Eclipse. Not you, not any of our friends. And I'd hope you'd do the same for me. Just because they aren't me doesn't mean I can't blame myself, I grumbled. Look, I guess all of this, it's just made me think all I can do is fail. No matter what I do, no matter how many times I try, I just can't. Remember when you told Nightmare Moon's Shadowbolt puppets screw you and chose to help us, even when they were offering your dream on a silver platter? When you saved Rarity and the Wonderbots by doing the rain boom? Or, heck, when you did the impossible as a filly and got us all our cutie marks? Those weren't little nothings, Sugar Cube. You saved lives. Discord stacked the deck against us way back when, and we stacked it right back at 'em. But you never chose to hurt Twilight, no matter what Discord offered you. This you, sitting right here, chose to save her every time. Eclipse didn't write that bit in. I never knew. You really think Nightmare Eclipse would let anyone but Twilight be the big hero? And honestly, Rainbow, in the end, you were the one that came closest to beating her, at least until Trixie. If nothing else, take pride in that. For the first time since I'd known Nightmare Mirror, cruelest of truths, I wasn't sure if she was telling the truth or not. Guess I get why some ponies like video games where the heroes stay dead now. Just cheat and give each set of new heroes the exact same names and stats every time. Problem solved. She just rolled her eyes at me, unamused. I finally took a drink from my cider bottle, relishing in the burn down my throat. The cycle hasn't really ended, you know, AJ? She looked at me, confused. First we're forced to attack a friend, Fluttershy. Then we're forced to ally ourselves with an enemy, Discord. All that's left now is for Eclipse to show up and give Discord his new game plus. Feels like something she'd set up. Friends and foes? Forever in flux, Applejack continued. Forever fogged. This was something Twilight Tragedy, my Twilight Tragedy, had written on a scrap of paper once. All this time and it's still stuck with me. Can't you see it's the same vicious cycle under new management? Only we've been demoted back to puppets. Okay, I'm gonna stop you there, Applejack groaned. You're getting into conspiracy theory territory, Dash. Eclipse is dead and gone. She got eaten in the end, same as our Twilights. Discord's redeemed himself 1,000 times over by now, and the gods wouldn't have gone to all this trouble just to pull the rug out from under us. We ain't pawns no more. Pawn? I laughed harshly, raising my bottle to my lips again only to find it empty. I scowl and chuck it at the planet above us, watching it sail through the biodome into the vacuum of space. It was great being a pawn. A pawn can proudly serve a queen armored in bone and know none of us friends would ever side with the black-hearted king on the other side. Black is black, white is white, and nothing else matters. It's simple. I would love to go back to being a pawn, or a rook, or whatever. We were so happy serving the White Queen Celestia. Then I proudly served my Twilight in my loop. But that's not really how it went for them, was it? All those Twilights we killed, and all our friends, they weren't playing chess. They were playing cards. I swept up the deck in front of me with my magic and shuffled it. Shuffle once, and the Queen of Hearts might be properly paired up with her king. I passed out 7 cards to myself and 7 to Applejack, but showed her the hoof I'd dealt myself right away. I'd shuffle again. Applejack was surprised when I magically grabbed all our cards, hers and mine, and reshuffled them again rapidly. And she might find herself playing against her king, against face and number in her suit. I passed out a new set of 7 cards. It definitely wasn't the same hand I'd dealt the first time. Fighting alongside the jacks of clubs and spades, and the joker. It was us every time we were recycled to fight Discord. Playing cards, shuffled around 1,000 different ways. Loops where the 6 of us united to fight Discord. Loops where Derpy was our only hope. Loops where Derpy was more of a threat than Fluttercruel. Loops where you and I never realized switching sides was even an option. Hell, there was that one loop where the Master and the Valiard put their differences aside long enough to nearly kick our asses. Yes, Rainbow, I remember, Applejack groaned. I watched them with you, remember? And I've seen so many more than you. You never saw what Eclipse cooked up when it was just me and her. And there's even more that only she and Discord will remember now. You weren't paying attention in these bits, but in some loops, Applebloom married this fencing colt from Counterlot named Lancer. In others, she married Octavia's kid. Hell, in the last one she married Lancer, and their full marries Octavia's kid. I can't say which life made Applebloom happier in the end. I don't think even Venus could. But what they fought for, what they believed in, it never changed. That part of them was bigger than them, and they knew it. An apple pie. No matter how many things changed, beginning or end, she was always there, like our spirit was too stubborn not to. No wonder her talent was always contradictions. But here's the thing, Applejack. In loop 1, Eclipse's home loop, nobody knew it was going to happen, so it played out naturally. But every loop after, either Discord or Eclipse meddled. There weren't any butterflies flapping wings. It was just one monster or another. And it still started with Twilight the White fighting against Discord the Black. It feels like we were the ones who meddled everything into gray. Sugar, is that really a bad thing? I looked at her. Trixie becoming an alicorn couldn't have happened without us interfering. The Master never got his redemption in loop 1 either. Gray means good guys can become bad guys, yeah, but it also means bad guys can learn to be good guys. Doesn't make what we did right, not by a long shot, but I think it proves what Discord said about his sister Straff sometimes. That he's ruthless? No, you dingus. That laugh will always find a way to adapt and survive, no matter how royally we fucked up the timeline, how many times we or Discord messed with history. Laugh still found a way. I guess so. But despite all that, I flung all the cards into the air. The ace of spades landed on my left hoof. For all Eclipse did wrong, I have to give her some credit. Once she decided you were real, she never betrayed you. She never let us take hits if we could help it, even if it was just her spirit bodies getting hit. She trusted us, and she never traded us in for new models, even after all that time. We stayed together, a full herd. And even when it cost her everything, she never ever broke her word. Under her, we nightmares could be the good guys against a world full of foes. It was kind of comforting that even in a world of gray, we were still black and white. Speak for yourself, Dash. I don't think Nightmare Eclipse trusted me as far as she could throw me, even if she convinced herself otherwise. She just pretended she was looking out for me because I couldn't help myself. Honestly, I think she never really got over Discord's game in the hedge maze. She was afraid if she turned her back too long, we'd turn gray and abandon her all over again. Then she fixed me with a look. You better not actually be yearning for the good old days, Dash. No, I'm not that stupid. I helped Applejack sweep the cards back into a neat stack. I'm just wondering, does loyalty really have a place in a world like ours? A world where it's impossible to trust anything? I got another look, this one more alarmed than anything. Don't give me that, I've had a lot of time to rethink things out here. Oh, my Celestia, Dash, she groaned, clapping a hoof to her face. You can't tell me you don't have any trust in anything no more. I look up at the planet above us. Well, I guess it's not nothing. I don't think you want to count shit like nothing can ever be as good as it seems, and all good intentions pave the road to hell, especially when your name was Rainbow Dash. A whole storm of lightning cracks across the planet, like strobes at a rave. Bolts must be thicker than skyscrapers for me to be able to see them all the way out here. Awesome. I mean, let's just start with the pretend Ponyville shit. Yeah, the Puppet Master turned out to be Nightmare Whisper, but make a few tweaks, could have just as easily been Banneret, or Granfaloon, or even myself. Any one of us could have been the villain. What about Scoot, though? Do you not trust those little girls? My words stopped in my throat. Well, Rainbow, you're right. We did make the world gray. We strung up a puppet king who just wanted to rest against heroes who had no idea they were working for the bad guys. But I think after trillions of years of that garbage, it's hard to think of the world as ever being black or white, anywhere. Does it? Was what we did black? Was Entropy's realm? Was it the Scootaloo army helping us save the world white? If Don't give me any horseshit about deities pulling strings. I'm talking about the army of little heroes coming to save every creature they love of their own volition. Yeah, that was pretty white. Evil changes based on the situation, but that doesn't mean there isn't any true black or white. Gray is just a mix of both, not the absence of either. So, I think you can learn to trust your moral compass, just a little, once you get used to listening to it again.
Okay, fine, I know Scootaloo can be trusted, but that doesn't change the fact that we can't, I insisted. What's to keep any of us from relapsing? Look what happened to Fluttershy. She had her head back on straight and immediately jumped to full napping us. Don't act like you weren't planning on doing the same thing from the start, just without incident ponies caught in the middle. Hey, maybe part of her was worried we'd try to resurrect Eclipse. That's insane! So were we, Sugar Cube, but we ain't anymore. Remember Luna, the original nightmare? Was there any possibility of her relapsing after we blasted her with the elements? A lot of tabloids seem to think so. They were tabloids, Rainbow. There wasn't a true word to be found in them. She groaned. Look, the Pantheon's offering to turn us into concepts just like them. We don't have to be nightmares no more. Heck, all we need to do is stand still long enough for a second magic rainbow shower, and boom, all the crud comes clean off. Luna was already an alicorn. What the hell makes you think it works like that for us? Do you think Trixie, the alicorn, not the mortal, is trustworthy? I don't get where you're going. Answer me. I mean, she kept fighting for her world until we killed her, so yeah, probably. That's the difference between Nightmare and an alicorn. Gonna have to explain yourself a bit more there, AJ. Twilight Sparkle, the mare who didn't want to show off when we first met Trixie, went Nightmare and turned into a megalomaniac with an ego the size of Equestria. I noticed. Miss Look How Great and Powerful I Am herself became a wise, humble alicorn who fought Eclipse until her dying breath and survived anyway. I don't know about yet, but if Ascending all the way can do all that for you, I'm all for it. But I shook my head. Being full concepts didn't stop Discord or Morningstar from doing what they did, and they were never once mortal. If I actually thought concepts couldn't be monsters, of course I'd be first in line. But it didn't stop Princess Luna. Why should it stop us? The higher you climb, the higher you fall, and I don't want to fall again, Applejack. I'm terrified of it. I've already come so low. I don't want to see how much farther I could go. I folded my smoky wings over my body, feeling the chill of space that much stronger. Celestia, I just wish those damn ponies would listen to me for a change. I wish they'd quit with the fucking mixed messages. What mixed messages would those be, Rainbow? Asked Applejack. On the gas giant, lightning turns into fiery mushrooms, blossoming up like flowers, before returning stronger than ever. One example? I was Rainbow Dash, hero of Ponyville, surrounded by my best friends, and I was happy. Then come the Alicorn's messenger to tell me, no, actually, I'm not the heroic Rainbow Dash. I'm a monstrous nightmare, and it fucking hurts, Applejack. But I picked myself up in the end. If that's how it is, oh well. I wasn't proud of it, but I could accept it. Be something like content. I may be scum, but at least I know where I stand. Mira was twitching. Oh my, Rainbow, you moron! Her whole fucking point was that ya are still Rainbow Dash. If you actually were a nightmare, she wouldn't have woken us up. She kept calling you Rainbow Dash no matter how many times you insisted you weren't. She groaned. I wasn't sure at first that showing you your real reflection was the best idea, but if I knew you'd be this thick-headed, I'd have shown you first thing after we woke up. I huffed out of breath. Those creepy fools sounded so sure of themselves back then, though. Not that I should probably be taking them as the authority on this stuff. Actually, come to think of it, they never once called me a nightmare, just the Queen of Chains. All they did was break my seal. I'd already been Nightmare Manacle beneath it, and I'd been Rainbow Dash underneath that, apparently. Not confusing at all. I ain't apologizing, Applejack said flatly, raising a wing again to show me my frazzled alicorn self in its reflection. Somehow I looked even more exhausted than before. You're both Rainbow Dash and Nightmare Manacle, same way Princess Luna was Nightmare Moon. This another yin-yang thing? I asked, toying with the idea of changing my name to Nightmare Danicle. Yep, said Applejack, stretching her muscles a bit. Though at this point, I'd say you're way more rainbow than Manacle. She smiles at me like that was supposed to be a comfort. Anyway, mixed messages, I say, pointedly dodging that remark. My whole experience with my pretend Ponyville proved pretty clearly that I'm not fit to take care of mortals. You'd think at least one of those alicorns would hear me when I was screaming, "We have no right to even talk to mortals," at the top of my lungs. And that was just a village. Now the gods are expecting us to build a whole universe. I slumped to the ground. I'm a pretty flexible mare. Damnation, atonement, an eternity of self-isolation. I'm cool with any of that. But this whole business of setting me up to repeat my own crimes on a grander scale, like a horrible parent being put in charge of an orphanage. Applejack tilted her head. I'm sorry, Dash. I really am. But I just don't get that one. What? What is there to get? Putting us in charge of mortal ponies is like... I noticed her flare her wing out on instinct. Same one she'd show me a healed self in, actually. Have you stopped to consider that maybe, just maybe, your opinion of yourself ain't reality? Just cause you say you can't do something doesn't mean you actually can't. If an entire pantheon thinks you can heal enough to do something good for mortals, elders included, don't you think it's worth getting over your thick ego for a second to wonder if maybe they're right? I obviously don't look convinced. She sighs. Rainbow, you made that Ponyville to save ponies Eclipse would have killed, and you were planning on letting them free as soon as we had a proper place for them. What Fluttershy did had buck all to do with you. The moment you realized what you did, you put everything aside to save them as best you could. You didn't let a single pony get hurt from collateral damage. And now you can make them a proper home, where they can live the life you always wanted for them. She met my eyes with hers, and for once the burning in my soul she normally made me feel wasn't there. Are you right? We've done a lot of bad. Of course you are. But the ponies you saved are a few clear spots in an ocean of blood that wouldn't have been there without you. And we can clear a lot more by helping to make the new universe. Just realizing you're a monster ain't enough to redeem yourself, Rainbow. You gotta put in the work to right your wrongs. That's true atonement. I felt that truth, same as every other cruel truth she'd showed me or others to break them. But there wasn't any harshness in it. In fact, did you just use your eyes to show me a kind truth? Applejack herself blinked in confusion. I think it was somewhere in the middle. A little cruel, a little kind. I didn't know I could do that, I just did. And they're gonna trust us to make a universe. I'll admit, after seeing her show me more than just a cruel truth, I had to force some of that sarcasm. Nightmare Mirror wasn't supposed to be able to do that. They ain't asking us to do it tomorrow, Applejack groaned, long-suffering. We'll be getting lots and lots of therapy first, before we get the first miracle rolling. From Fauna Lesser herself if we get the concepts route. Heaven knows we need it, I sigh, pushing myself back up in a sitting position. You know, even though I'm no shrink myself, let me try diagnosing myself. I'd say that I'm highly paranoid, antisocial, with a persecution complex, severe depression, anger management issues, prone to violent outbursts, deep-seated mistrust of all authority figures, post-traumatic stress disorder, thin grip on reality, huge issues with guilt and self-esteem. Did you spend this whole time coming up with that list? Nah, I think you just, I don't know, pulled a cork and released a lot of gunk stopped up somewhere. Her wing lifted again, same one that little healed Rainbow kept popping up in. I don't think she even knew she was doing it. Keeping all that bottled up can't have been healthy. Guess it's better to let it out now. Now who's the shrink? I don't know, it feels kinda like I've spent a long time with just one front leg, then somebody came along and gave me the other, telling me it was always supposed to have it. She stared at the ground thoughtfully for a moment, then laughed and shook her head. Well, since I guess I'm your therapist now, go ahead and tell me what else is bugging ya. I tilt my head towards the planet above and think about the universe they wanted me to create. Well, I guess I'm terrified of mortal ponies. No, I'm terrified for them. When I'm around them, I'm a bull in a China world, and they want me to create whole planets for them? They'll be looking to me as a creator god, asking me to guidance, praying to me to help right their wrongs, and I'll be too scared to move for fear of paralyzing them. Shakily, I uncapped another bottle of cider and drowned it in record time. Hey, Rainbow, want to know a secret? There was this one loop before you came round, where Celestia and Luna were rescued from Discord's castle as their full selves. And it turns out, Celestia feels the exact same way as you, all the time. She feels like an inferno in a world full of kindling. It's why she calls herself princess instead of queen. If she really wanted to, she could have incinerated the Huvia Empire with a single solar flare. But pulling that kind of trigger ain't a thing you do lightly. I think she's afraid if she did it once, it'd be harder to stop herself from doing it again. All your fear really proves is that you understand what a big responsibility we're taking on here. Okay, it's a bit comforting, but what about the rest of us immortals? If Fluttershy could do what she did for centuries, even after being hit by the Rainbow of Light, how can I trust myself, or any of you, to stay sane? I was saving this for when Fluttershy had head enough to listen, but she was willing to go up against all of us and the concepts because she believed she was saving all of Ponyville from death or oblivion. She thought we were the only ones who protect those ponies, rather than just letting them sink into Entropy's ocean. That is truth. From what you told me, she's been going without sleep for a long dang time now, keeping that place running while Flutter and I looked after the Scootaloos. Nightmares or not, we still need to get some shut-eye, if not for our bodies, then for our minds. When she started, she might have been just riddled with guilt and panicking, but by the time those angels got here, she didn't have enough left in her to think clearly. And frankly, the lack of sleep plus the amount of magic she was burning constantly, without rest, I think she might have burned her brain to a husk if you hadn't stopped when you did, Rainbow. You saved her. For once, that actually does make me feel a bit better. Thank you, Applejack. Something in her eyes brightened, just a bit. But we're being asked to make a whole damn universe here. How can I trust that the stress of that won't cause me to do something just as stupid in the name of redemption or whatever? Especially when my Applejack glowered at me. Or our biggest victim will be right next to us. She groaned. To think you were doing so well, and all it took for you to spiral was a single look at his face. I know, I agreed. Suppose at one point Discord says one little thing wrong, some stupid off-hoof joke, and I snap like a twig. Here's a thought, said Applejack with a strained smile. What if, just a thought, the lot of us simply conducted ourselves with perfect professionalism and respect for one another the whole way through? I thought about it. Is that your prescription, Doc? I finally asked, half joking. Given the fact that you're beating yourself up over what you did to Discord, his forgiving you probably won't help you much. Lord, I really do sound like a shrink, don't I? Applejack, after Discord, after Nightmare Eclipse, after the fake Ponyville, a part of me is always going to be waiting for some pony, or for something to snap, myself included. You really think that the rest of us haven't gone through those exact same things? Spot can't trust his own memories anymore, not after living as Rarity. What other memories might he have that are lies? He can't even know if his caring about Sweetie Belle is just brainwashing or him really thinking of her as family. And think about this. You said yourself in your loop, your Twilight and Applejack still cared about you and Spike, even with the brainwashing. The pretend Ponyville got along fine with that Spike. Like if he up and vanished, no pony would notice. You think that didn't hurt him? We're hurt. We're supposed to shoulder each other's pain. Maybe you and Spike could have helped each other. Element of loyalty. And for a moment, I wondered, how much pain was the cruelest of truths hiding behind her own mirrors? Well, she asked for what was bothering me. Better hurry up. You're not going to want to hear this, Applejack. No offense to Winona, but you know what's also not all that bright, easily mentally overpowered, relentless, a hard worker, utterly faithful and loyal? A dog. A dumb mutt. I stole another glance at myself in one of her mirrors. The angle. If I tilted my head just right, I could catch a glimpse of Applejack in them. There was an odd blur around her eyes. And was that a viola flower in her barding? I shook my head and kept going. For all the clips that talk about NPCs, do you know what Rainbow was? A long opening cutscene. So gullible, vulnerable, and weak-willed that every version of herself railroaded herself into the exact same bad decision in that hedge maze, each and every time. Clips might have been copying and pasting Discord, but what about the rest of us? What's our excuse for failing for Discord's games over and over again, even despite the changes in each loop? I never felt like the game handed me the controls, not until 1,000 years into being Trader Dash. And yeah, I know why. Clips needed us to fall for it, but I never had a chance to even try and pick something different, did I? Ain't that a tragedy? All that lowly Pegasus' puffed up hubris, her need for adoration, that wannabe's idiotic pie-in-the-sky ambitions, when absolute... Nightmare Mare was a veritable queen of stoics. Tombstones wished they could be as somber as her. She could unveil the most soul-shattering truths about yourself in the flattest, most disaffected monotone. You could beg her to shut up, you could scream at her in a furious rage, you could attack her with any weapon you pleased, and she just carried on telling you everything about yourself you never wanted to learn. And she was sobbing wildly, as though she were the sole survivor of a massacre at her own wedding. "You ain't a dog, Rainbow Dash," she blubbered, quivering and high-pitched. "You ain't dumb, you ain't weak, and you don't need to be this way. I cried this bad even when my Big Mac died. How'd you even do that, Dash?" I didn't know. What could I say? This was 1,000 times stranger than when the original Applejack had been turned into Liarjack. Applejack suppressed her tears, and Liarjack pretended nothing bad was happening at all. But this? Finally, I broke my stupor and rushed to hug her. She hugged back, fierce as could be, as though we were mortals again, and I'd nearly been dropped to the bottom of the ocean. I rested my head against hers. It took a long while for her to get her sobbing under control. Even then, tears still leaked from her eyes. "You never forgave yourself for the hedge maze, did ya?" "Not as much as I wish I had." Fluttershy. She showed me how I could have won. She was better than all of us. She's the only one Discord had to cheat with. If only one Rainbow Dash out of infinity had thought of it. Maybe Discord's second daughter would have gone Princess Aurora Borealis on his ass. All them times I told you the honest truth about yourself, Rainbow. And it was only ever the negative. You took it straight to heart. I think it's time for a few good truths, for once. Applejack pulled away, looking me in the eye. There goes that one wing up again. You're honorable, Dash. You've got a big heart, and you really do care about protecting the lives of mortals. You still have a sense of humor after all this time. You've always, always, always done your best to be a good friend to us, even when we weren't sane enough to appreciate it. Sometimes it's a good thing the way you jump into action, always ready to lead the charge. The mortals in your pretend Ponyville really do admire ya, because they recognize how hard you fought to save them. In Twilight's absence, you've been a great leader, focused, effective, driven, and I and the rest of our friends have been proud to stand behind ya. She could almost have been just a simple cousin of mine, rather than some terrible force of nature. And it kills me to see how determined you are to strangle everything good inside yourself just to justify your own self-loathing. I don't want you to be petrified of taking risks. I don't want you shunning everybody else in existence. The world isn't made of rats, demons, and China dolls. Some ponies are worth getting to know just for the heck of it. Give them the benefit of the doubt once in a while. And Rainbow, our little nightmare herd cares more for you than you realize. You're one of our dearest, oldest friends, and we'd follow you to Tartarus if you asked. We ain't about to cut your throat the moment you turn your back on us. Quit finding excuses to be miserable because you're terrified of jinxing your own happiness. The world's not going to be snatched away from you. You ain't dreaming, and you ain't under some spell. Loops are over, darling. Relax, let yourself laugh, and for the love of Celestia, let yourself accept that there's still beauty left in your soul. You shouldn't live your life like the whole dang universe is one big minefield. Please, Rainbow Dash, let your spirit of adventure fly free again. I always wanted to be an adventure hero, I say softly. But that's impossible. Life in this universe is no grand adventure. It's a cosmic horror story, one of our own creation. Applejack looks me directly in the eyes. We're finally actually on the threshold of escaping the vicious cycle we've been trapped in for forever. Stop being stuck in the past. There's a bright new future ahead of us. Rancor, Twilight, and a sixfold ray of harmony burned Eclipse's horror story to less than ash. It's gone and done, and from what I've heard, Rarity's done a damn good job of turning it into a fairy tale. That ain't the sort of future you want to turn your back on. Maybe one good thing I can put absolute faith in. One happy, nice thing that not even a god can ever take away. Applejack thanks, and then she thinks some more. Dash, I got a thought. Let's hear it. For all the rotten, awful misery I've heard spilling out of your trap, one thing's for certain. You've been really honest with me. About everything, ever since reawakening is Nightmare Manacle. All your thoughts, what's in your heart, all the cards laid face up on the table. So for that, and especially for all the loyalty you've shown others, perhaps it's time some pony pledged some loyalty back to you. What do you mean? I ask. Applejack places a hoof over her heart. I swear upon my soul that no matter what, I'm gonna be the truest friend to you I can be. I swear to always be upfront and honest with you, and to never lead you astray. I'll never try to beat you in true combat. No third party will ever be able to set me against you. Even if we're far apart, I'll always remain on your side. There wasn't any flash of magical light. Applejack's voice did not reverberate with mystical power. She simply lowered her hoof back to the ground. Now, you remember me talking with Fluttershy about how souls are timeless? Because this promise was sworn with my soul. It'll still be valid and binding for me, even if your fears are right and things are reset. So no matter what, you can absolutely depend on at least one true friend. One friend who will always be there to pull you back out of the dark if you fall into it again. Even if I don't rightly remember this moment in my brain, it'll all come instinctively, from in here. She tapped her heart. I was utterly stunned. You do that for me? Sure, cross my heart, Her hoof starts to move over her heart, but I stop it. No, I don't even need that. This is all you. You wonderful, wonderful stubborn stick in the mud. Your word is 20,000,000% better than any pinky promise. Hey, said a voice from a stray floating rock. Sorry, Pinkie Pie, we echoed, then laughed. Okay! Applejack did not lie. Her ability to lie stunk like dragon's breath. Her strength lay in truth. When she swore something with her soul, on her soul that thing was sworn. One friend I could depend completely on. One bedrock in an ocean of chaos and inconsistency. The greatest treasure any pony has ever given me. This was the true magic of friendship. On their own, we'd been broken by our own elements, but it turned out the virtues were still virtues after all. We nightmares had gotten it all wrong. The elements were never meant to work in isolation from each other, and Applejack could see the understanding on my face. And Rainbow, I have something else you can have faith in. Well, I should say 171,000 little orange somethings, she said, giving me a smile. I was struck dumb for a moment, then hugged her tighter than I could remember. You're right, there are! I'm gonna try my freaking best to make sure they can have faith in me. She held me tight for a moment, then gently, ready to go back? You don't need to be part of the universe, Megan, if you'd rather not. It's a big responsibility, and a lot could go wrong. No, I tell Applejack. We're all in this together. Raise you back! And off we flew. Discord and our fellow nightmares, and Scootaloo, and all the rest of our friends, awaited